This is LiR Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to this edition of the panel on LiR Media. And we have our usual email, info@LiR Media is our usual email. And good evening, Laura Witherow.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Good evening, Dr. Klein, and welcome.
Good evening, all.
And good evening, Mary Honan.
Hi, everyone.
Now,
which Mary Honan are you talking about now? Because I see two on my screen, Mary Honan.
I had to set him up outside there. There was a listen. It was like,
look, we don't need a big long explanation.
Trying to get it
already. But on tonight's show, we were discussing items. What Bacharach White considered one of the greatest composers of modern tunes. He was 94 during the week. We'll look at some of his tunes, and if you have any favourite one, let us know. 6 counties again in deadlock. The DUP say no. They're consistent in that anyway. We'll be looking at the National Maternity Hospital. And another item we're looking for, is it time to legalise prostitution? We'll see where we go there. And another item we have on, when you're setting your passwords, how careful are we? Are we lazy? Are we careful about setting passwords on our cards, our bank cards and all of that? We'll have a speak about that as well. But to open up the show tonight, obviously a current topic. It was held last night in Turin, was it, I believe, the Eurovision Song Contest.
Turin.
I think first of all, anyway, they should drop the word song from it. They should call it the Eurovision Contest, run by the European Broadcasting Union, because anything goes. The idea of a song winning it now, I think, is into the distant memory. 1992, I think, was the last good song contest, but that's just me.
Oh no!
Did you see any of it? Did you jump into any of it last night?
I saw a few bits and pieces of the semi-finals during the week and a few snippets last night. One that stuck in my head, funnily enough, I think it was the first semi-final, was Norway in those yellow wolf masks and give the wolf a banana before he eats your grandma. I was like, no, I definitely heard that wrong. And I'm having trouble with my ears at the minute. So I was like, no, I'm just going to rewind that back. And I was like, no, they definitely just said give the wolf a banana before he eats your grandma. I mean, when did Eurovision become about this? I disagree with you where you said the last good song was 92. There's been a few good songs since, like Euphoria and different songs like that. Like, okay, they're few and far between, but like you said, Pat, it's not a song contest anymore. It hasn't been a song contest for a long time, in my opinion. It's a circus.
Love shines the light from the UK.
Mary,
that was really good as well. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, what are you saying?
Love shines the light for the UK was very good. Since rock and roll kids, Laura and I agree, is probably the greatest. Not the best. It's Irish, but to me, it epitomizes everything. It brings us all back to our childhood and our teenage.
It's a great story song, you know.
A great story and a great melody, and I thought last night, well, when I saw the woman washing inside in a big bowl, I thought, what on God's name is that? But you know, when I looked at England, the United Kingdom's song, it was just so far. It was stratospherically apart from every other competition. And it was tragic that politics had to come into it again, because in my view, yes, it's lovely to show solidarity with people who are, but at the end of the day, everybody is up there on a level playing field, performing for their country, trying to get their songs recognized, and the song should win out at the end of the day, not the politics. Politics shouldn't come into sport. It shouldn't come into
anything apart from politics.
Shouldn't come into anything. And last night he was absolutely. The organizers might as well just have pulled the plug and said, "Look, we're not giving it to you."
And I'm a bit perplexed by Ukraine winning last night in one sense, because like they cannot, where are they going to host it next year?
Well, it'll probably be hosted by the UK because
No.
No.
The president has already said it's going to be hosted in the Ukraine. I mean, I have to applaud them for that. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, but don't forget. I mean, actually, I enjoyed last night. I think, regardless of what you think, it still was a good song from Ukraine as well. I mean, I do agree with you. The UK had a good song. But don't forget the Eurovision has been set up as a political kind of thing. Even in 1953, was a few years after the war, and there was kind of to unite Europe in a way through music. So it's always been a political aspect to this. But this, there was there's two ways of getting the points. They got the jury, and the UK got the most points there, and then afterwards the people calling in. So you can't. I mean, even the UK gave the most points to the Ukraine as well. They showed it afterwards on BBC4. They're showing the points. So you can't give that.
I loved with France giving UK 12 points.
Yeah,
it's never happened before, I don't think, in the history of Eurovision.
The Italians gave the Dutch 12 points, so I was happy with that as well. But I mean, I don't agree with you, Pat. 92 was the last. There have been great songs. I mean, even recently, a couple of years ago, the Dutch song was a great song, and I liked last year's winner, the Italians. I mean, you might not like the kind of type of music, but I thought it was a good song.
To be honest with you, Italy's song the year that it got second, it won by the biggest majority of any song in Eurovision history. It won with the juries all across the world, and by the time everyone had voted in, it was beaten by a few points into second place, and it was so far ahead of everyone else with the juries, and that was El Volo, and that song has gone multi-platinum since.
Yeah. Well, there's always
we haven't even heard of the song that won.
There's no accounting for taste, and when you leave it up to the ordinary punter on the street, I mean, as Dirk said, I mean, there's songs he'd like that I wouldn't even turn on, and there's songs.
But I think we all love the one song.
But it's very hard. It's very hard to have. I mean, the only way, I don't know what way. Look, it's going to be. It is what it is. They're not going to change anything, except that I would like to see the voting confined to the juries of their peers in each country. That's the only change I did myself, because a country with only 3-4 million people and another country with 300 million, I mean, really, no matter how good your song or artist is, forget about it.
Can I just say, Pat, that there was one song in Eurovision history that I think Dirk certainly will have liked it, and I think Laura will have. And I'm shocked, I loved it. It was Rock Hallelujah.
Hard Rock Hallelujah. I knew you were going to say that.
Lordy, yeah.
I just loved that song, and it's a song that has always stayed in my head.
And you see, if that was given up for the jury to decide, they wouldn't have won.
No, but I mean, I think they would have, Dirk, because
no, I think there was some
Hard Rock.
Hallelujah, yeah, it's a great song.
Great song, and and I mean, there have been some fabulous songs have won of late. You mentioned one, Laura, there earlier.
Euphoria.
Yeah, that's a great song, but even
every song on that competition as well, it was a clear winner. It was, you know.
I saw a debate then today about Ireland. Should Ireland still compete? Even before the Eurovision started, that song wasn't a great song. What's lacking with Ireland, they need to associate the song with Ireland. No, if you know, there has to be some kind of ethnic link to Ireland. It could even if you give it an Irish title or have a bit of Irish in it, because people associate a different sort of music with Ireland than what they put on for the Eurovision.
I agree. I think that Ireland needs to stick to the big ballads. And I think
they lost their way in Eurovision.
And I think they need the likes of Johnny Logan and the likes of Linda Martin. They need the two of them, because they have, certainly Johnny Logan has the recipe.
No, there's other young artists there as well who could do a better job. So,
but you want somebody that understands Europe.
I mean, look, the Irish song this year was very poor, and the singer was poor.
Oh, I don't agree. I think she did a
It was never
great
going to
job.
go anywhere after I hear. That's my own opinion.
I think she represented the country. For a young girl to go out there on such an enormous stage and represent her country. It was. There was at least in her half. There was at least 10 countries that shouldn't have got through.
There was 18 songs.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought she did a great job.
There was 18 songs in that semi-final. She couldn't finish in the top 10 of the semi-final. You know,
that's nothing to do with her. It's to do with the fact, Pat, we don't have only the UK, and consistently the UK gives Ireland better marks than Ireland gives the UK.
I think countries will go.
Even last night, Pat, when other countries could give the UK 12 points.
Yeah, but Portugal has
Ireland gave them 8.
Portugal has a population which is about 2 or 3 million more than we have, and they win it in recent times.
But they're surrounded by countries.
No, but I think
a quality song, a quality act. If you get the vote.
They're surrounded by countries,
but
we're out in the Atlantic Ocean.
But if you even look at last night's, the Dutch got through with the Dutch song. No one understands Dutch except for the Dutch, and yet they got through. So if the song is good, it doesn't matter really.
Sweden and Norway and Denmark and the lot of you all vote for each
No,
other.
they wouldn't even. We have no connections with Scandinavia, none whatsoever.
No, you don't know. No.
Well, anyway, to sum it all up, I think Ireland were doomed the minute they sent Justin out in a shopping trolley. That was the end.
That was what it is. To be honest,
it's going to take a long time to come back from that.
That showed very
I didn't watch all the voting last night. I just wondered, did Germany manage to get any point?
6
points after the voting came in.
Might wind up with no. Anyway, the LiR Media, the panel is a show here on LiR Media. Tell all your friends about us and press the red button on the right hand side for our to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free of charge, and thank you for that. Up north, up in the 6 counties, the elections were held yet again last week. Sinn Féin won 27 seats, the DUP won 25, the Alliance won 17 seats, and there's a total of 90 seats assembly. There was 18 constituencies of 5 seats in each constituency, just to clear all that up. Anyway, they met during the week, and the DUP, true to form, said no, we're not having this. Much like our government here down south, they needn't be blowing their whistle about it, because the citizens of Limerick City and County voted almost 3 years ago in a plebiscite, in a referendum, to have a directly elected mayor, and the government said, we're having none of this, lads. No, there we go. Anyway, Dirk, you pay much attention to the politics of the 6 counties, or did you notice anything about this?
Dirk is an orange man, Pat.
I
pay full attention to the north.
I'm an orange man. Yeah, it's my party show. DUP is Dirk Unionist Party. I mean, what did you expect? The DUP always says no. Like, it's just their favorite word. No or situation. That's the favorite word. I mean, even when what's his name, Ian Paisley was still alive, I sent him an email once, because it was around the time, it was in '98 when the 3 kids were murdered. Where was it again? And I forgot the name of the town. And they were parading around in their orange banners, and I said, as a Protestant Dutchman, a real orange man, I said, how dare you use my country's colors and my country's history to do the things you do. Explain that to me as a Dutchman, as a real orangeman. Yeah. Never came back to me, of course, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, no, I mean, it's what you expect. And then what should happen there? Listen, okay, you don't give in, you don't get paid. But then, of course, you have to, like, so Jeffrey Donaldson, he will still get paid in Westminster, so he gets it. He gets to have his cake and eat it again. I mean.
And Laura, what do you think of the whole thing?
I completely agree with Dirk. Like you said, the DUP's favourite word is no. I think they probably all have it tattooed on them somewhere. It's just another fine example of governments failing the people in their country. who are trying to place some measure of faith in them to do right things, and it's just not happening. It's happening down south, it's happening up the north, it's everywhere. Like, there's no getting away from it.
It is sad and it's shocking. Mary, what do you think of all this carry on? You know?
Well, do you know, I mean, it goes back, I suppose, when we all voted against Europe, and we were, and they kept going and going until they got the answer that they actually wanted. There doesn't seem to be any respect for democracy. Same in the UK when they voted overwhelmingly for Brexit. You had the Labour.
Well, overwhelmingly, there's one percentage in it or something. I wouldn't call it overwhelmingly.
Overwhelmingly to be independent, which here in this country we tried for 600 years to gain our independence. But you had people, whether they were right or whether they were wrong, you had people who were trying to undermine the result and to have it overturned. I just think, you know, you take
that was on both sides, though.
You go out, you go for an election, and whatever the result of the election is, you abide by it. It's the will of the people.
But look at the northern election at the moment. Okay, you have the DUP. They are now suddenly they're called the protectors of the Good Friday Agreement. They never signed up for that. Okay, start off with, they never signed up for that, and now they're saying, well, because of the protocol, they signed up for the Brexit. So that's the two things: they signed up and not signed up for. Suddenly, they want to turn these things around. So that's what was happening in the north.
I forget. Somebody said the other day what they should do is take anyone who doesn't want to be part of. Who are, say, nationalists who want to remain part of the UK, they should have their passports taken, Irish passports taken off them, and then they have to make a choice if the passport's been taken off them, a choice between the UK and Ireland. I think that's an appalling suggestion. How can you take somebody's passport? Your passport is your birthright, really. We've seen.
I think.
Actually, funny you mentioned that, and that's the one thing. That's the one thing I have to give up if I want to become an Irish citizen. My passport.
Yeah, but if you're already an
Irish
citizen.
One thing about the 6 countries is it's gone around so often now with the DUP saying no, that there's an expectation that they'll always say no.
Yeah.
Isn't it just goes to show that the entity that we call the 6 countries is more or less dead and buried as a serious proposition? Isn't it time that the British government, they have no business in the 6 countries anymore. They shouldn't be occupying those 6 countries. They have no business there. They should just get out and leave the people organise it themselves. The rest of the thing, I don't know what they're doing there. What do you think?
But the problem is the UK don't really want them. And Republic don't really want them, so they kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
There, Dirk.
Was that?
I'm not sure I agree with you there.
Neither do I.
I know Lord rest my mother. She prayed for a united Ireland.
Do you really want to pay more tax for a united Ireland? Because that's what comes down to.
She used to always say, in my lifetime, I'll never see a united Ireland. Now, my dad was very much English, but loved Ireland. But, you know, I look at, do the people in the north really want to be part of us here in the south and our government? I think personally,
I think that if you start doing that,
they have everything better. The roads are better, the infrastructure is better in the north.
No, it's not. If you look, the majority
that's
of people
a real Irish nationalist.
The majority of people in the 6 counties who are deriving an income, they're living, are employed by the state, the British state. I mean, let's call a state a state. So look, they're the figures, the facts and figures. Look, let's not get into that. What are the British government doing in part of our country? That's the more pertinent.
Pat, they're there because the people in the north want them at the moment. If a referendum is taken and the people in the north decide that they want a devolved government, that they want to be separate from the United Kingdom, I personally think the United Kingdom would pull out like that.
I don't know anyway. Boris Johnson is one of the most popular figures apparently in the Ukraine now. I think the Ukraine
Second to
did
Vladimir
the Ukraine give
Zelensky.
Boris Johnson 12. I mean Britain 12 points. I think last night, as far as I
They
know.
did, yeah.
It's not related to what we've done. LiR Media is the program. The panel on LiR Media. Press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel, and thank you. Our YouTube channel, all our programs are found up there. And thanks to Laura, Dirk, and Mary, and myself for going on for another bit. Now, Burt Bacharach and Hal David, of course. We all mentioned Hal David as well. He wasn't his only collaborator, but he was the main collaborator with Bacharach David in the company. He was 94 during the week, and I think he's after give a concert over in Washington, but don't quote me. That you can look it up online. Of course, he's born in Kansas City. That's Burt Bacharach himself, so he's from Kansas City. May the 12th, 1928. Today is the 14th, so there you go. That's how long he's in the world. These songs, lads. Laura, would you be a fan of these music like Walk On By?
Yeah, Close to You.
Yeah.
All of those great classics. They don't make songwriters like that anymore. I think I'm not sure, did this come up a few weeks ago? Again, we were saying that all current songs that are coming out either have a riff or like a verse or an underplay of an old song in them. There's very little original anymore. Or based on what radio stations I'm listening to, I'm listening to a song and go, that sounds like something I heard 20 years ago. Or
Yeah, but it's all
and then I'm like, oh no, wait, it is a song I heard 20 years ago. It's just been remade. And I think songwriters like him it's just a dying trade now, isn't it?
And Mary, do you know the way to San Jose? Is another one. I say a little prayer, to look of love.
If it wasn't hoarse, I'd give you the la 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 la.
But you know, there's songs that
on my head.
Songs like Burt Bacharach's you know, they last forever. There's songs that are generational. People will hear them in 20, 40 years, 60 years time and still know the songs. They'll be popular. There's a lot of the songs certainly in the last 30 years that are completely forgettable. You'll never remember them. But I think that there are people who are composing songs now that are actually songs that will be remembered because of the melodies. And I'm thinking of people like Gary Barlow, who is he's received several Ivor novellas for his music. And you have Ed Sheeran. I mean, Ed Sheeran, you can argue whether you like Ed Sheeran or not, but his music has, he's a fantastic songwriter. And then you have people like Mika, who always seem to know what a good chorus is like, to get that good catch that you cannot get it out. It's like an earworm. You just can't get it out of your head. That once you hear a song by Mika, it's there forever, do you know? And I feel that there's people like that.
Do you know the way to San Jose?
I know that much, yeah.
I do know the way to San Jose, but that is another program. But I've never heard of Burt. Was it Burt Bacharach? I never heard of him. I'm only joking. No, but he also co-wrote that song. What friends are for. They keep smiling and keep shining. The one with Stevie Wonder is in it, and what's his name? Elton John. A few of the big stars. No, he still is. I think he wrote his first song in 1953 or something, and the last one in late 1990s. So someone argued once that he's probably better than the Beatles, which he probably is, because he wrote a lot more than the Beatles did. Really, when you think of it.
He wrote that one, Dirk. What's New Pussycat? Tom Jones had a big hit with that.
Tom Jones, yeah.
Yeah, his first hit, but I have it written down here in front of me, so. But I knew what his first hit was, but I didn't know when it was. His first hit was a country music tune, was The Story of My Life, and Hal David delivers in 1957, which went to #1 with Marty Robbins. But on this side of the pond in England, what's his name? Michael Halliday. Michael Halliday had a hit with it here, and our own Brian Coll, who passed away last year, had a hit with it in Ireland. That was the story of my life. And he wrote another one straight after that for Terry Como. He didn't know who they were going to pitch the song to. You know, the problem with songwriters is who's going to sing this, who like this, who might like this, and it's a dog thing.
But
Magic moments he gave to Terry Como in 1958. So that started the ball rolling then for them. But as you said, he's around. I mean, he's from 64 years writing, you know, which is huge.
But,
Isn't it?
it's the same when you think of Albert Hammond. The prolific amount of work he has actually written that you know, and he's such a quiet, reserved man who kind of keeps, he's never really in the public eye. The night he was on the Late Late Show and he sang a few songs, and he wrote an awful lot for Joe Dolan. And when he moved to America, Joe Dolan was really miserable, he said, because he said, who am I going to get now to write my songs for me? But I mean, he has written such, when you listen to the names of the songs he has written, you think, God, was it Albert Hammond wrote all of those, do you know? And they're the backdrop to my teenage years anyway. Do you know?
Seems like it never rains a song in California anyhow, but
California.
yeah. But another prolific songwriter, and he's often forgotten. I saw a program on him a couple of weeks ago. So Nile Rodgers, I mean, he's 2 billion is his value of the songs he has written. 2 billion. You mentioned that. Wow. Is that? I mean, that's just one.
Do you know Albert Hammond wrote One Moment in Time for Whitney Houston?
Oh,
I mean, you know, it's just, I'm just.
I heard the also that Albert Hammond said that it never rains in California.
He wrote so many hits down through the years, and people know the songs, but
you don't know the writers.
You're such a good-looking woman. Nothing's going to stop us now. When I need you, don't turn around. The air that I breathe, I need.
Sorry, Mary. Are you quoting songs? Or are you just talking to us now? Because
giving us loads of compliments.
The girls I loved before.
The good-looking woman was obviously not Dirk.
All the girls I loved before.
I don't want to live without you.
Julio.
Chicago, it never rains in Southern California.
Julio recorded All the Girls I Loved Before, didn't Julio and Daisy? And of course, Willie Nelson had a hit with that as well, hadn't they?
But it was
together. That was a duet. Two of them. Yeah.
There you go. See, you're sharp. I knew you were listening. I knew you were paying attention. The panelists program on LiR Media have to be tell all your friends about us. And press the red button to subscribe to our channel. And we're with.
If I press the red button, it tells me to leave.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're still here now.
Love you, Dirk. Bye.
No. Is it time? We're asking the question. Well, there was discussion this morning on both radio stations. I couldn't listen to the two of them together, so I was jumping from one to another this morning when I was getting ready to come out. On the location of the National Maternity Hospital. Now, the discussion on both sides are more or less the same on the same program. There are, what's the word I'm looking for? There are, I suppose, some people are exercised by the location of the hospital. Personally speaking, I'm not, beside some very good hospitals. But it's the ownership, I think, from what I could glean from the discussion, it's the ownership of the hospital that is in question, that should be built and solely owned by the government. But the land that it's built on will not be owned by the public, will be in public ownership. Is that, Laura, would I be thinking that would be the nub of the problem?
Yeah, I'm a bit perplexed by it, to be honest. Yeah. You know, it seems very strange to me, the way that the conversations and the way the media are talking about this. Like, I actually wasn't aware of it until only a few days ago. And I was like, what does that mean for the hospital? What does that mean for us? Like what? What is the reasoning behind that?
It's not uncommon that buildings are being leased or that property is being leased. It's not actually it's not uncommon. I mean, they've done it with countries even. Like if you think of Hong Kong, that was leased from the Chinese for 100 years. This is going to lease for 299. That doesn't mean. That means for 299 years, it's going to be the property of the Irish state. That's what it is. That's all that it is. After 299, it can be renegotiated. But more like 299 years from now, I probably won't be around anyhow. But that's what it is. I mean, it's not. They're making it out to be as something very uncommon. It's not. There's quite a few buildings, as far as I know, around which actually are leased. They're not actually.
Yeah, the terminology around it, it's very off-putting. They're trying to make it more about that than the actual hospital itself, I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'll never be pregnant because I'm not a woman.
Go away, Pat. Seriously.
And well, yeah, I'll say that now, but you never know what will happen down the line, the way the world is going. What I'm saying is this: the discussion was centered around pregnant women are not patients of a hospital. It's a natural evolution for women to give birth to children. They shouldn't be treated as patients. They're patients of nobody. Obviously, their doctor looks after their health, and well-being and all of that. But to have a hospital setting for a birth, I think there's something wrong with that myself. The majority of births don't happen in hospitals. In the totality of the world, majority of births every day of young children and babies do not happen in a hospital setting.
I was born in a hospital. Were you, Dirk?
I was born in the castle. No, I was born in a hospital as well. But not every birth goes straight forward. I mean,
no, and I can testify to that. 20 months ago, I had a very
99% of them do.
I wouldn't say 99%. I think it's a good bit less than that, Pat.
Over 70% of female, obviously female, over 70% of women who go into Clonmel Hospital in Tipperary to give birth naturally end up having an emergency section.
Yeah, but a lot of them are smoking and drinking during the birth.
Pardon?
A lot of them will be drinking and smoking during their birth, during their pregnancy.
Well, now I was in an emergency section, and the only thing I drank during my pregnancy was water.
Good one.
And I certainly didn't smoke either.
No, I'm not saying.
Yeah, I think that's kind of generalizing small bit there, Pat. I don't think that's actually, not anymore, maybe a couple of decades ago, still a few who could do it, but in general, I don't think that's the case anymore, really.
Yeah.
No, I think people have, I think, hospitals are vital places for people who need to, or for first-time mothers who are petrified. Are you suggesting, Pat, that every woman should have their baby at home?
Just get on with it. It's a natural thing, for God's sake.
God, Pat Barry, you're lucky I'm not near you this evening.
Yeah. Have the baby and go in the kitchen, woman. Make me some dinner.
On the way down, Mary.
While you're washing, have the baby while you're washing.
I'm bringing down the little mouse to give him a good slap.
I'll do a Will Smith in it, is it? All right, we'll do a Will Smith. Anyway, the National Maternity Hospital is going to go ahead anyway. Look, build the damn thing, I'd say. Go ahead and build it, and for God's sake. Don't be throwing in red.
Yeah, but what if they are building it? Where are they building it? Athlone?
St. Vincent.
Why can't they build it? Why are these national hospitals? I have a huge problem with this. National hospital, the Children's Hospital. Why can't they be right in the center of the country where everyone can get to them? Why is everything Dublin centered? You have to go up all the time. When my mother was dying with throat cancer, I had to go up to Dublin every weekend with her and bring her from one side of the city to the other. And all of these places should have been
accessible,
right in the center where people can get to, and there should be trains.
Mary, you're right. And Laura's going to have a word with Matty, aren't you, Laura?
Oh, I am, yeah.
Have a word with Matty. Matty will be the man.
Matty loves me. I'd say he dreads seeing my name coming up on the phone.
Yeah, it's great man, great man, great man.
Can you get him on the show, Laura?
Oh, I'll do my best. I'll have a
Can
chat
you
with
get
him.
him on with Pat? Pat is
No, he
trying
should
to
come on
get him.
some
Can you
night.
imagine?
Pat has been trying to get him for ages.
No, well, I met him a few times. The panel is a show on LiRmedia.tv. Tell all your friends about us. And we're delighted for the people who take the time to watch these programs. And, well, maybe soon they'll tune into us on the radio. Is it time to legalize prostitution? I think my friend here, I won't mention his name, he said it's legalized in New Zealand, I think. Is that right? I won't mention your name. It's legalized in New Zealand, so he was there when it was legalized. I'm surprised he came home then. But anyway, that's his own business.
It's Martin, is it?
I'm just,
Martin, yeah.
I'm just saying, is it, I don't know myself how common it is now. I don't think there's, I don't know how to say this. I was thinking about it during the day. Why would you legalize something and I better choose my words. I'm after going into a corner here.
Yeah, here, I've never seen Pat so hesitant to actually deliver a sentence ever.
Why would you legalize
You know,
something?
he was waiting to be a priest, Laura.
Oh, yeah.
He's coming out and now he's starting to get
And
very flustered.
And one morning, Laura, I saw the ankle of this beautiful nun, and that was the end of it. I saw her ankle. That was the end of it. But I'm just saying that. Is there a need for prostitutes? Is there a need for them?
Pat, if you don't think there is no prostitution in Ireland, you haven't been living here. It's the oldest profession in the world. It's well, see, but that's the whole point. You see, I was listening to a discussion there last week, and we're talking to these women who work in the trade, and they were being threatened by men, saying, "Listen, we're not going to pay you, or we're going to report you to the police. We're going to do this to you, to that to you, or they pretend to be cops themselves." There is another point to this. If you legalize it, you can regulate it.
Yeah.
Because prostitution is there. It is there, always will be there. If you legalize it, you can regulate it. And on top of that, you can get financial benefits from it. You can tax them. You can ask income tax. That's how it works in the countries where it actually is legalized. They're treated as employees. They can set their own unions. They can have protection and everything. At the moment in Ireland, let's call it what it is, sex workers are open to all sorts of abuse, and they can't do anything about it. Well, they think they can't do anything about it, but they can. That there is laws, but
yeah, there are laws. I mean, there are laws in existence today. Sorry for calling it of common assault. I mean, if you assault another human being, there's no reason to assault and attack another human being.
yeah.
Even if it's over sex. But really and truly, I don't think you should legalize something to protect a section of people who wants to have sex with 20 or 30 men a week. You know, that's their problem.
But the problem
that
is a lot of them don't want to be doing it. They're forced into it.
yeah.
Well, that's yeah, I agree with you, Laura. That's a different point about the sex trafficking. There are laws there already for that.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, if it was regulated, like Dirk said, and there was safeguarding in place, you might be able to weed out a lot of these sex traffickers and all these vile pimps and everything else that goes with it. And in that sense, it could be a really good thing.
But
exactly, because it's going to be there forever. It's not
whether we like it or not. It is going to be there.
It is there. It's always been there since day one. So let's not be naive about this. And that's what it is.
It's like the argument. It's like the argument for legalizing drugs. If you legalize drugs, you take away the drug pushers. You take away the people that are making the money because they're making money because it's covertly done. Now, I have mixed views because I think on one hand, legalizing it, as Dirk says, you know, people, it's their job. They can have a union. They have medical protection that they don't probably have by it being covert. But on the other hand, there's, you know, the other part of me says, well, you know, if you legalize something like that, you're actually saying that it's okay for a man to walk in and have sex with a woman just for and a transactional sex, and that you're actually making it you're actually giving credence to it. And I don't
you're making it consensual, Mary. You're making it consensual. He pays for it. It's consensual. It's not like she can say, well, at the moment, that's the point I was making, because there's men going around pretending to be godly and saying, listen, you do this for me now, because otherwise, and there might often there are Eastern European women who don't, who might not have good English, and they would say, okay, well, I'll do this, and you don't have to pay me. Just don't report me. So that's what I mean. If you legalize
that's effectively rape, Dirk.
Exactly. But that element's taken away then from it, because if it's legalized and you paid for it, they can still be raped.
That happened in England with that lovely girl that was taken off the street and told she was being arrested because she was out during COVID by a policeman who actually was a policeman.
Yeah, but look what happened to her anyway.
Her and raped and murdered her. You're going to get all these vile people, but on one hand, I think absolutely it should be legalized in the same way as drugs. Certain drugs should be legalized, like cannabis, because you take away the myth behind it, and you take away the drug pushers and the pimps and everything like that, and you clean up the whole industry in a sense. But then in another sense, it's, part of me is saying that it's actually...
The emotional part of you goes sad.
But yeah,
there's any young girl that at 9 and 10 who would be asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a prostitute. I don't think there is any. So I think people fall into the line because it's a good way of living, because you get a good lot of money in some places for it, and as well as that, out of desperation in other cases.
Yeah, but it's a glamorized trap, really, isn't it?
Glamorized trap. And I don't know.
But the thing is, and no matter how you look at it, and I'm coming back to this point, it's been there forever. It's been in biblical in the Bible that they talk about. So we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of years what is happening. So if we're naive to think it's not happening. At the moment, it's happening in Ireland, unregulated, unsafe. Illegally, and the state doesn't even get the benefit of it. They only get the bad sides of it. They only get
education is the only way, though, Dirk. I really think only through education and getting women to have a sense of, is there an alternative way that I can actually, I mightn't earn as much. But what am I losing about myself? What have I got to give in order to earn that money? What of myself have I got to lose?
But if they're happy enough with it, who are we to judge?
No, we're no.
I
wouldn't judge anybody. Everybody's entitled to their own career.
It's money.
Well, I can tell you, my uncle he owned a brothel in the Netherlands. I only found out a couple of years ago. I wish I would have found out earlier, because I would have probably got some money from him as well. Because hey, hang on, but. And he wrote a book and I read it, and actually it was very well. One place it was like a club. People came in, and it's not only about sex, by the way. Sometimes people only came in to talk, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So there is that part of it as well. So, but again, it's been there forever, and if you just ignore it, we'll be very naive. And as I said, it's happening more and more that women are being threatened. By sometimes by real gods or men pretending to be gods, or in general, could be anyone.
But I do think, Dirk, you're right, that if they're going to continue, if it's something that is going to continue, then probably it should be regulated in some way. But I just worry that it will encourage women to think that it's okay
Well, actually,
to lose so much of themselves in order to.
ever since they legalized it,
Nobody can earn a living that way.
ever since they legalized it in the Netherlands, the level of prostitution has gone down.
Well, it would because, I mean, for various reasons, you're right, because people, well, no, I mean, going into, well, you have a building in that's legitimate, that's legal, so people obviously that would be regular users of the service may, for their own reasons, not partake anymore because it's gone legitimate. I don't know myself. I have an open mind myself. I don't know, is there any call at the moment in the country for to do something like that? I don't know. I have an open mind. Look, but I don't take the attitude that it's a profession. Certainly not. It certainly is. To me, it's very, very degrading for one human being.
Yeah, because at the moment it's also illegal, and
that's just my own opinion.
Yeah, but it's also because it's illegal, and that makes it degrading. Is if it's done properly, it could be empowering as well. So
I have to say though, it was a great subject to bring up.
It's the same thing will be happening. The same thing the human being will be doing to another. So it doesn't matter whether you're paying tax on your money or not. To me, I don't see any difference really.
I have to say it was a great subject to bring up, if only Kat blithered through it for the first half.
Well, you see, you know.
You're welcome, Mary. Squirm, Mary. Just to see him squirm.
He looked so uncomfortable, and I was looking at him and thinking.
I think me and you took a little too much pleasure from that, Mary. But anyway.
I'm trying to think of a joke, but I won't mention it because I don't have it all in my head. Before we finish tonight, are we careful? And how careful are we? And how aware should we be before giving our personal information? And then having a protection on the other side for it with the passwords we use. In my own case, all my passwords are Australia and numbers. So that's my own case, but I'm not saying they're safe or anything.
I know some of them, and honest to God, nobody in a million years would actually remember.
It's easier, you know, with Google. Although Google gets an awful lot of translation from Béla into Irish. They get an awful lot of it wrong. In fact, I'd say it's very high. The few times I tried, they don't really. I know what kind of Irish.
Dirk, speaking of Gaeilge, Dirk, why haven't you learned Irish? You speak 5 languages.
Sure, came for.
Why haven't your children learn Irish? Why have you not embraced our culture in this country?
But you see, even the Irish don't learn Irish, so why should I?
Yeah, but you speak English, you speak Dutch, you speak German. You speak Italian.
A small bit of French and Flemish.
And Spanish.
No, I don't speak Spanish.
No.
Oh, no, we were down in Mexico on Thursday, and we were looking for the Wi-Fi in the local pub. We went in just in New Ross, but it stopped on the way. It's a horrendous journey. The road is shocking. But anyway, the Wi-Fi was ABCDE 1 2 3 4 5.
My local pub's Wi-Fi password is buy a pint.
Yeah, and as I said before the show, I was at the bus stop in Limerick, getting on the bus. I was trying to get a Wi-Fi somewhere, and I saw this list of networks, and I got a name of a security firm, internet security firm in Limerick. But I just wanted to try it out. Like I typed in password 1 with capital P, and I took it again.
A lot of places use password with a capital P and 1 or a letter or number after.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, but not an internet security firm. They should have a slightly different setup, to be honest. Like, you know, but my passwords are
security.
Yeah. My passwords are so safe that I don't even know what they are.
Yeah, that's me. I forget my own passwords.
I don't know his passwords either. He gets
capital letters, small letters, @ symbols, dashes, / semicolons, numbers. I'm like, oh God, which one is this site now?
Well, Well, some of them. But
Pat is using all these underscores. Don't ask me why he uses an underscore, because very
Yeah, I use the underscore as well.
Oh, Laura, I hate the underscores.
No, the underscore are fine because you have to go. Well, it'll you will remember them better because you'll stop instead of saying your own name at gmail.com, which is a no-brainer, projectbar@gmail.com. So I mean, really, just Klein at gmail.com, Laura Witherow at gmail.com. I mean,
Which is not my email, just to be clear.
No, it's mine, by the way.
I hate Gmail.
I'm just saying people do that all the time, and then they put down their password with their surname backwards. You know.
Yeah, that's very common. Or like the
it's
parent's
so
name
common.
or the dog's name. And it, like, I mean, everybody knows my two dogs because they're the loudest yaps in Holy Cross. They're like, oh, there's Bobby and Trixie. So if I had my password as my dog's names, like everybody would know who my passwords were. Like,
that's true. So
someone said once, the best way of a password is just take a quote from a book somewhere, a book you've written, you've read before. It doesn't have to be a famous book. Just something
just
stuck with
in
you.
the middle of Ulysses, because nobody has read the whole thing.
Laura, my master's and PhD was in English literature. I think I got past page 7 of Ulysses. 5 times I tried it. I couldn't.
Yeah, I got 9 chapters in.
Well, Mary, there's no point in
whatever he was on.
There's no point
when
in
he was
Mary having
writing
a password because she can never ever remember it. The most simple thing like ABC.
No, because for some strange reason, on one laptop, my password is different from what it is here in the station. If I type it in, I have to type in a different number.
Now,
and I'll get through. And I have no idea why that is.
Before we finish up tonight, we're speaking about music earlier on in the program. And just to let you know, on this day in 1970, the man, old Satchmo, What a Wonderful World. Do you remember that? Oh. Beautiful song. And
he's my party piece, by the way.
I know, very
good.
I do a great Satchmo.
And also on this day in 1967, Procol Harum, White and Shade of Pale. What a classic.
Fabulous.
Wow, big song.
They were actually in Prague doing a gig while the Soviets came in, and they had to be rushed out fairly quickly. In 1968, 67.
67, yeah. A While I Shade of Pale, Skip a Light Fandango. That was across the floor. Fantastic song. And also, finally, do you remember a group called Piccadilly Witch?
Who?
No, there you go. But you know the song, That Same Old Feeling. I still get that same old feeling. You remember Dirk, 1970?
There's a little nose of that somewhere there.
Now, next year, we should have a campaign to send somebody who can sing to Eurovision. Okay.
Right,
okay.
Pat, it's settled. We're going to do a duet. Johnny Logan is going to write it. Mary's going to do our costumes, and Dirk is going to organise the campaign, the promotion.
No. I'm going to sing it.
Oh, I don't know. You got still competition with me and Pat now, I think.
Do I remember a station, Dirk? Hilversum.
Yeah, that's where that's actually also a city in the Netherlands, but that's where that would be like Donnybrook. So yeah, that's where all the Dutch media is Hilversum. It's a very, very wealthy area. Dublin 4 kind of thing.
Oh, that's a place where we must visit. Hilversum. That's our next stop.
I mean, when you go back and look at the songs that represented, say, Ireland, that won for Ireland, and you think of, say, from Dana to Rock and Roll Kids and the
Emer Quinn, Niamh Kavanagh, Linda Martin,
Johnny Logan twice, and all of them, Linda Martin, all of them were ballads.
Yeah, see, Johnny Logan.
For some reason or other, and you know,
Johnny Logan was there 4 times really. He wrote another song for Linda Martin in 1980.
Twice, and he wrote Linda Martin's song, so that was the 3rd time he won it.
No, he wrote another song for Linda Martin as well in 1984, I think it was. but she only got second or third with it. So.
That was with
Terminal 2.
Terminal 2, Lights on
Yeah,
Fire.
that was written by Johnny Logan.
And it was a great song, cracking song. As you said,
He
she was
seems to
second.
have-
in a row.
He's
Yeah.
very popular all over Europe. And that's why I think he has his finger on the pulse of Europe and what they want. And I think for some
But
reason,
no, not really, because
don't
he,
want Johnny Logan.
but 4 years ago, he entered for Switzerland in the national competition. He didn't even get through, so he doesn't really know himself what's popular. I wouldn't count on Johnny Logan to know at this stage what works
Anyway,
for
as long as you don't send back Dustin, we'll be fine.
I mean, that's 40 years ago, the 1980s.
What you should set is some kind of traditional song.
Yeah, I think so. A song.
A ballad, somebody on guitar with a fiddle and throw a few Irish words in there.
I think a song in Irish about cutting tough would go down well. You know, I think it'd be great. And a donkey as well.
That thing that you did on Opportunity Knocks, that yourself and Billy should
I'm
go.
embarrassed enough tonight now. So from this edition of the panel,
Had got into the semi-finals of Opportunity Knocks, singing a song in Irish.
Until we meet again, lads. Take care.
He's trying to get away from it.
He's running. He's squirming as much as he was at the start of the legalized prostitution conversation there.
Listen, himself and his brother and a few more sang.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is LiR Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.